What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very special guest. She is a meditator, sports nut, ocean lover, but most importantly, she's the director and author of Heal documentary. Guys, please help us welcome the one and only Kelly Gores. How's it going?
It's good. I love that intro. Thank you. I'm fired up.
Woo!
Yeah, he's killer at them.
I keep hearing I'm getting better and better, so as long as I get the good responses, I'm happy.
I love it. I love it.
So how are you been? How are things going?
Great. You know, it feels like definitely energetically, it just feels a little chaotic right now, it's December leading up to Christmas. So I think that it's always chaotic around this time for me, but then you throw COVID on top of it and it's just wild. It's wild.
You get the whole Christmas cheer and people wanting to think that COVID's not here and just believe on the Christmas cheer, but then COVID's here and it's just like that whole mix is like, okay, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's wild.
So how you know, it is a crazy time that we live in right now. What are some adjustments that you've had to make kind of in like your personal life and then obviously on the business side of things in order to you know, make sure you can keep things moving forward? We like to kind of dive into this, just kind of see what everyone's kind of process has been through this whole period that's obviously very new to all of us.
Yeah. I mean, my experience has been, obviously I just spent years working on a documentary and I've very in the belief system of how incredible our bodies are and how we're literally designed to defend against things like a novel coronavirus. So my personal fear around the whole thing is low. I recognize that applies, you know, I'm a healthy body, so my body's capable of kind of keeping things at bay, but I do recognize the fear and the panic and the stress from the beginning of a lot of people and how it was exacerbated in the media. And there are people that are really vulnerable and at risk. So it's been an exercise in kind of compassion, but also frustration of just, you know, this panic and all of these, it's gasoline you're pouring on the fire because again, I did this whole documentary of Heal, which is about how strong our beliefs, thoughts, and emotions play into our health. So the panic and the story and the uncertainty and all of the confusion around this pandemic at the beginning and still even today is really exacerbating something that may not have been this much of a wildfire. So the fear definitely has been poured, you know, the gasoline on the fire. But as far as me, it's been kind of, I really truly believe that it's kind of a wake up call. It's kind of a shutdown. So where people have to sit with themselves and it's kind of removed a lot of distraction and taken us off this hamster wheel, which media and technology has put us on because we get access to things so much more quickly and we're just on this like treadmill, you know? So the treadmill has stopped. We're sitting with ourselves, which is very uncomfortable at times. The uncertainty is uncomfortable. So I've just been really diving into or leaning into my practices like meditation, earthing, connecting with nature when I can. And it's been, you know, to be honest, it's been nice to get off the treadmill.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We talked about that a couple of podcasts ago as well about, you know, how we were able to, and even like with how we created this podcast as well is like, you know, we were constantly, as you were saying, so busy doing all of the things, training people in person, doing our online stuff, shooting content, helping brands out, you know, that we had been talking about starting this podcast for a couple of years and never really found the opportunity to do it. COVID hit, you know, we obviously were locked inside down here in Florida at the time. And we just turned to each other and said, well, you know, I'm not doing anything. You're not doing anything. We both have some microphones in our apartments. Like, well, let's just get this started, you know, and it does kind of it does feel refreshing to be able to step off that hamster wheel, reevaluate a lot of the things that we were doing or not doing and really take stock and then like, is this even important in my life? Like, do I need to be, you know, going and walking on like this shopping lane every week because I like, is it something that I need in my life? Am I wasting time? You know, are these people in my life really the people that I should be hanging out with or should I head in a different direction? So I think, as you said, right, it is a great time to be able to kind of take a deep breath, you know, even though there is a lot of chaotic stuff going outside.
Yes. And take a deep breath. Hopefully out in nature with fresh air and no mask on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Distance from people, you know.
Yeah.
but
Well, we're down here in Florida, so we get that, you know?
yeah.
100%. No, and I have to agree that it's, especially with the way that COVID first hit people, obviously it caused us scared. Nobody knew about it. But then as time went by, I think, with everything going on, the trust in things and what you hear in certain things and, understanding the way certain things are being handled, I think it obviously you're going to get two sides of the spectrum, but I think it does play out an interesting, it plays out in an interesting way where you do get to see a side of people that are very extreme on one side and then very extreme on the other side. And it's just kind of, then you got the people in the middle of kind of like, what do I do? What should I do? How do I go about this? I'm listening to this, I'm listening to that, and I'm just confused in the middle. So just wanted to kind of hear on your point, what are some of the things that you suggest, to your friends, your peers, your platform on how to go about a time like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it has brought health to the forefront. It was, there's a healthcare crisis in this country, and over half the population has one chronic illness, if not more. And chronic illnesses, I've learned from very intelligent people and scientists and researchers, can 95 to 99% of the time, there is something we can do about it. That's the beauty of epigenetics. So a lot of people are told when they get a diagnosis that their only option is taking a pill for the rest of their life. That pill then requires more pills to counter the side effects of that original pill. And that's not health, No. So the beauty is chronic illnesses, 95 to 99% of the time, there is something that you can do to get out of that condition and heal and get back to homeostasis and health. And so I think now it's like, okay, having a chronic illness doesn't only impede your life and vitality, now it makes you vulnerable to something that could, literally kill you, like COVID-19, like a severe infection. So hopefully it would kind of snap people into starting to look at their health on a deeper level. And, there's many ways that you need to approach, healing a chronic condition: diet, movement, sweat, getting, detoxing through sweat, as you guys know a lot about.
Oh yeah.
And then, addressing the emotional stress aspect, which I think everybody needs support with right now. We have a major mental health crisis that was already teetering on danger, and now it's just spilled over the edge. We've got, suicide rates and anxiety and depression are through the roof.
Yeah, there just was a statistic the other day, right, that came out that said that there were more deaths in Japan from suicide in this past month than there were from coronavirus since it entered Japan, back in December or whatever. More suicides in 1 month. That. It's disgusting.
It's devastating, and it really is highlighting, like, we have such a mental health and physical health crisis in this country. And so I just encourage people to really nurture themselves right now and become aware of how our immune systems, when they're not being impeded by autoimmune disorders or other chronic illnesses, are so robust, and to the point where, even children, they're not as worried, thank God, at this point about severity of COVID-19 in children. I think that would throw us into a whole nother loop if children were really at risk. So I'm thankful for that. And I just want people to learn how amazing their immune systems are, and simple things they can do to make their lives, to take the fear out and just build their robust natural defense system. So supplements, I think everybody should load up on vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc right now. Those are the three kind of
huge right now.
Yep.
Huge, I mean, you should do that every winter.
But make sure that you stay inside your apartment and don't go out into the sun.
And exactly. And don't see anyone. Yeah. I mean, isolation, they're finding there's so much research, and isolation is like the precursor to all diseases. And that's why suicide is going up, because people are isolated and they are just, they're not getting the support they need to sit with themselves and face some of these things. And they're depressed in this. I mean, it's just, again.
Right. I mean, when they shut down the state of Florida, I was so, and they're like, okay, well, you have to stay in your apartment. You can't, or inside your house. I'm like, it's sunny and 90 out every day. Like, why would
Especially in
I?
the summer.
And, you know, working in the health field, I'm like, why would I want to be inside when I could be outside?
On the beach,
You know,
the bar.
or anywhere. It's like, okay, if you want to, you know, ban New Yorkers or people coming from the north down into like our warm state where, you know, they're obviously in a much more severe lockdown than we were in. It's like, I understand that, but I should be able to go outside. Like, I live here, you know, I live right next to like 3 different parks. Like, why can't I just go for a walk in the park? Like, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You know, there wasn't a lot of logic, I feel. Yeah. And I understand, like, okay, you want to shut everything down for 14 days till you guys figure it out. But then once the science started kind of coming out on it, like, there was no logical shift in the direction that everything was heading in. It was just like, well, we told you to do this, so you're going to do it. Like,
Totally agree.
And then you got the other problem where we talk about all the time is the governments only push the agenda of more masks, social distancing, hand sanitizer, this, that, clothes. It's just like,
no exercise.
Where's sleep? Where's meditation? Where's, you know, all that, all the components that we need to stay healthy as our beings in our body. You know, you don't hear that being pushed out. And I think it's sad because that's probably the strongest component that you need during a time like this, is to be as healthy as possible. So I wanted to ask you, what are the resources, or who are the resources you go to and you recommend for people to go and get those resources from, that are pushing that agenda of becoming healthier versions of yourself, getting the exercise you need, the sleep, the meditation, the reduction of stress? Who are those resources, and where can some of those people actually obtain that information?
Yeah. 2 people I love to follow and I think are just brilliant and very connected and are very research and science backed and based are Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Zach Bush. So Zach Bush is a genius. I mean, he has so many different backgrounds and training, and he has a clinic, I think, and he's just so brilliant and connected. And he really correlates, he really correlates the power of nature and what's going on here. And the world needs a wake up call, because we're destroying our planet. We're destroying ourselves. We're destroying each other. And this is a great, you know, kind of opportunity to shine light on that and teach us how, when we can heal ourselves, reconnect to each other and heal the planet, like, you know, and how everything, microorganisms, including viruses, are part of nature. They're part of the way we evolve and grow. And so I highly encourage anyone to listen to Dr. Zach Bush. And then Dr. Joe Dispenza, I recently did like a 1 day retreat with him, because he's a good friend of mine, and we just got a small group of people together in a safe environment, and everybody tested, et cetera. And we spent the day meditating and really talking about the research behind meditation. And he literally, meditation, if you get your heart and brain into a state of coherence, your IgA levels, which is your first defense against viruses and bacteria, go through the roof. It literally makes you almost impenetrable to things like coronavirus. So meditation, literally, if you have a daily practice of meditation, it can boost your immune system in such a way that it, like, no coronavirus has a chance of even replicating. And he's done so much research on this and measured people's brain waves and IgA levels and immune systems, and it speeds up healing. So those are just some cool things that they're a wealth of information, you know, without the CDC and the WHO and all these. There's so much politics involved in all of those organizations. And you know, also everybody's criticizing the governor of California, which, you know, I don't disagree with, but there's so much political pressure for him to do things a certain way. You know, it's a freaking nightmare is what it is. But if you can get the information that empowers you as an individual, and you can find these tools like meditation, like earthing, like movement, like a, you know, really healthy diet at this point, you can do what you need to do to boost your own defenses and stay aware and at peace, and not kind of also getting infected by the fear virus. You know what I mean?
Do you know more on that process that includes IgA, in terms of, you know, how you can help boost your immune system to be more resistant or not have such severity when you do have these virus scares or you do get sick? I'm just curious as to like what that really looks like.
Yeah. I mean, he guides people through, he did a whole scientific research, and they're actually doing like double-blind studies right now with him involved, and how they literally are exposing the blood to coronavirus. And it's like, there's no proliferation of the virus. So it's literally not able to copy itself in the environment where this blood has been meditating for 4 days straight or something like that. So that will come out, but that's why you should start following him now. But it's basically has to do with if your brain and your heart are in such a state of coherence, and the way he's like guiding people through meditations, which he's got a lot of meditations for sale on his website, or you can get them for free on YouTube. He gets you into such a state of coherence. I guess the idea behind it is it releases this positive chemistry throughout the body, which then boosts the immune system and puts you at homeostasis. It takes you out of the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's when your immune system, if you're running stress at all, your immune system is suppressed. So it really just gets you out of that. It drops you into such a coherent state that all your cells are firing and doing everything that they need to be doing and communicating at full speed. And so your immune system response just goes through the roof, because it's like the communication is at the height,
And is there a major difference that you found with the way that he practices meditation compared to, some of maybe the more mainstream ones, like throw an app into your headphones and lay down or sit up?
I think it's all going to, if you practice every day, I think you're going to get some results. I don't know. I don't think I have the expertise to answer that question, if there is really a measurable difference between different modalities and who's doing what.
From your personal experience, do you notice a big difference between that and maybe some of the other meditation practices that you've done in the past?
Yeah, I really love anything having to do with like manifestation. So the Joe Dispenza meditations that I've been doing of late, there's actually two. There's one that actually really empowers your body, and you actually are like visualizing. So there's visualizing, and then you're combining that visualization with elevated emotion, and that combination changes your frequency. It's very like quantum physics based. And again, they've measured all of this. So it changes your electromagnetic field around your body. It expands it. And his work and his passion is based on the work of Harold Saxton Burr, who discovered that matter, like let's just take a tumor, for example, the tumor doesn't affect the electromagnetic field. The actual field is disrupted, and then the tumor is able to grow in the field. So what you need to do in order to trying to change matter with matter takes a long time and is high effort. But trying to change what his whole work is based on is changing the energy field, changing the electromagnetic field, and then that reorganizes the matter. You create such a powerful electromagnetic field that tumors dissolve. Matter that is out of alignment with health, vitality, and our true nature cannot exist when you continually get your body into this coherent state and strengthen your energy field.
So
that makes sense.
Kelly, what was it that got you interested in wanting to dive deeper into this space and knowing about this space and really just consuming yourself in it? What was it that triggered that for you want to just go all in?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm like you guys I'm interested in human potential. We're here, right? We want to live the best, most dynamic, most creative lives that we can. We want to feel good. So once I started kind of waking up to, I have actually a lot more power over how I feel than I've been led to believe, different little health things along my life, nothing major, but enough to make me go, and spirituality has a lot to do with it for me. So around the same time, I kind of started learning about quantum physics and energy and how thoughts and emotions really send a signal out into the field and kind of, that's why we spiral or sometimes create our worst fears, because we're so focused on that. And there's so much energy behind that. So we're literally attracting and creating like vibration in the field and in our lives. So once I started learning about that, then I started learning about Bruce Lipton and epigenetics, which is the science that basically tells us our genes are just a blueprint, but our lifestyle choices, our emotions and our beliefs and our perception about life turn on and off the switches of our genes. So we have the power to make better choices, think better thoughts, surround ourselves with better energy, heal our emotions, and then our genes activate in different ways. We turn on healthy genes and turn off unhealthy genes, cancer genes, et cetera. So I learned about that. And then, so that was the physical aspect. I was like, oh my gosh, we have so much more power over our lives energetically and physically than I've been led to believe. Then there's a man in Heal. His name is Michael Beckwith, and he started this spiritual center called Agape in Los Angeles. So I started attending, and it just felt, it was such a microcosm of the earth. It was just every color, shape, size, gender, age of people from all religious backgrounds. And it was more of just this like spiritual philosophy, and meditation was at the foundation of his practice, meditation and prayer. And I would take classes with him, and I would learn like people would heal just through meditation and prayer, and visualizing themselves already whole and feeling. So it was like, again, visualizing and feeling. So I started applying these practices in my everyday life, and my life just literally kept getting better and better. And everybody was like, what are you doing? How are you manifesting all this stuff? How are you so happy? What's going on? And that's when I had the idea to make the film. I wanted to put all my teachers and knowledge in one film to kind of empower others.
So let's dive right into the film. I'd love to kind of get some backstory on that and your thought process on why you want to start it. So your documentary Heal is out on Netflix now, right?
It is.
So guys, make sure you guys go check it out on Netflix for sure. It's a great documentary. What made you want to really dive in and make a substantial feature length essentially film about the power of the mind?
Yeah, I mean, like I just said, it was such a passion for me, and I've been an actor my whole life because I grew up in LA, and so I've been on movie sets. It's a medium that I'm very familiar with. I get very, I love movies. I get moved by them. I love documentaries. I learn so much from them. And so when I started feeling so much more empowered in my life, knowing about diet and really implementing meditation and a gratitude practice, gratitude journaling, and seeing how it really affected, gave so much positive change to my life. I just wanted to teach others, and film was just kind of the natural way that I was going to tell that story, because it's just the medium I've been in my whole life, and it's powerful for me. So I figured it was by putting all my teachers in one film and telling a story, it would be powerful for others as well. And it took me it was a calling, and again, Michael Beckwith, the Rev, as we call him, he kept saying, pay attention to how you feel. And I started paying attention. I've been acting my whole life. I'm in my late 20s at this time. And talking about acting or booking a role became less and less exciting for me to talk about, and talking about all of this stuff and human potential and manifesting and energy, quantum physics. I would light up and I could talk about it for hours. And so I started paying attention to that. And that's like the pull in your heart to go down a different path, So our body is always communicating to us. And so start to pay attention. I love to tell people this because it's been such a signpost in my life. Start to pay attention when you talk about something, when you're with someone, when you're in a relationship. Does that topic make you contract, hold your breath, feel fatigued? Or does that topic or person make you expand your heart open and just want to give you endless energy to talk about and explore and seek out? So it's such our bodies are just incredible, constant communication with us. Our body doesn't lie. That's why we get chills. That's why we get sick. That's why we get well. It's like, it's just this beautiful instrument, this tuning fork, if you will.
100%. I think we can all agree that we're constantly learning more and more about the body every single year, and every decade that passes by, we understand it a little bit better, and when we get to know it a little bit more, and still we have yet discovered everything about it. Now I want to ask you, through the creation of your documentary, what were some of the biggest struggles, and what were some of the things that came out of that you're like, wow?
Yeah, so much. I mean, I knew a lot of what the experts were talking about going in because I'd been studying their work for so long. So there wasn't a lot of like super ahas because, again, I was very familiar. But I thought it was important to follow real people on real healing journeys in real time, because a lot of the documentaries on similar topic would just talk to people that had healed from cancer and what did they do. So it was more of like a talking head situation. And so I wanted to show the reality of someone like going on the journey and the emotions, because it's great to be like, oh, your body can heal anything and just think positive and feel positive and change your diet. But like, you know, the reality of life, just like I was telling you about my morning this morning, is just life throws shit at you. And there's so much fear and emotion. Like, how do you, even I say this, like, I get like thinking positive and meditating and doing all these things can boost my immune system. But when I have the flu, last thing I feel like I can do is move, let alone meditate. You know, pain is debilitating. Nausea is debilitating. So it's like, I wanted to show the reality of like, we have all these tools and there is all this science, but the fact of the matter is, if you're in the fire of a stage 4 diagnosis or total chronic pain that is debilitating, it's hard to pull out of that and kind of think positive, right? So we followed a few people on real healing journeys, and I think that it shows that it's not a one size fits all solution. I kind of wanted to show a tray of what's out there, and then teach people to tune in what resonates with themselves, so they can dive deeper with this certain expert's teachings or this certain healing modality. But I think the biggest, you know, I just was talking to Michael Beckwith and this other doctor, Dr. Sue Morter, the other day, and I asked them a question, like, do you guys believe that you can heal yourself? Can the body heal anything, like ALS, like the gnarliest things? And they said, yes, absolutely. They both believe, you know, and they've been around this their whole life's work, and they've seen incredible things, and they are very in tune people. And I believe that too, you know? So the subconscious mind, I mean, that's so complex, but one of the biggest ahas is like, we have this programming, we get programmed from the ages of 0 to 7, like in utero to 7 years old. And we're just kind of, our energetic environment is just imprinting on our brain and creating neural pathways and belief systems. So we basically are just adopting the belief systems and behaviors and energies of our caretakers. So that, unless you become aware and look at some of those belief systems, that's going to be your programming and your software that's going to run your whole life, which is why we often, you know, end up like our mothers or our fathers, or when we don't want to, you know, but it's just in there. It's this programming. So for people to become aware of, and a good way to become aware is find out where you're triggered. And if you're triggered by something, that's an old wound or a belief system that is keeping you from being free and fully expressed, that is probably not yours. It's negative and disempowering, and it's something we need to look at and heal and shift. So I do believe that our choices and our beliefs can lead to a physical condition, but that physical condition or diagnosis is a wake-up call so that we can look at those things and heal. So this is not about blame. Everything is subconscious. So until we become conscious of these belief systems and behaviors and energies that we've been subjected to and programming, you know, we can't make the shift.
So how can people which you get all the time in whatever it is that they might try that's new, they might say, you know, we always hear this is easier said than done.
Yes.
And understanding that, you know, in the realm of health, fitness, meditation, understanding and being in tune with your body. It's not easy. Like, you know, even being us, you know, we can sit here and meditating is not the easiest thing to do, and discovering yourself is not the easiest thing to do. So what are some of the key components and tools that you would say for somebody who is having a hard time and has that mentality like, hey, it's easier said than done. I've tried to sit through this. I can't do it. What are some of the things that you would recommend for them right now that they can start doing that's very obtainable, easy to go through? They're still going to get benefits from it, and it's going to allow them to then level up through the process of this growth.
Yeah. It's a beautiful question, and it's a complex answer because there's 8 billion people or something on this planet, and it's just very complex. I don't know there's no, again, one size fits formula. However, I think, you know, one of the doctors in the film is Dr. Kelly Brogan, and she was a full-blown traditional psychiatrist that was doling out antidepressants to pregnant women and others. Then she got pregnant herself and was like, whoa, knowing the side effects of SSRIs, like, I don't know that I'd want to take them. And then so that was like a wake up. And this is one of the smartest women I know. And so then she turned her to, now she's like full opposite extreme holistic psychiatrist. And the reason I tell you this is because she puts people on a 40-ish day, really detoxifying diet. It's really clean eating to just get you to baseline. So I think it's really important for people, diet and gut health, our gut and our brain and our heart are all very connected. There's neurons in our gut.
They say something like 90% of the information that your brain processes actually comes from your gut biome.
Exactly. So it's really important if you want to make a shift in your life, and almost before anything, you can start meditating. But if you can take the toxic burden out of your diet, if you can get really clear and energetic and just feed your body really strong nutrients, get rid of processed packaged foods, alcohol, anything that's going to overburden your system. Disruptors. That gets you just at a baseline where your brain is going to start to be able to focus better, get clarity. You're treating your vessel, this container, this meat suit we're in.
I love that meat suit. I used to use that all the time. I love it.
And it sets you, that just like builds your foundation. So I think nutrition just as a foundation, you probably need to go on some sort of protocol if you're on a healing journey. And then your meditations can become deeper. Then your feedback mechanism, your resonance, that higher self, that spirit, that soul that's within you. Once you start meditating, that will speak louder and guide you. Your intuition is probably the easiest way to say that. So as long as you kind of clear out your vessel and start to do these practices like meditation, disconnect from tech, go out in nature, put your bare feet in the earth or the sand. All of these things will set you up so that you can hear your inner guidance. And again, that's going to be the resonance that gets you to the right book, healer, practitioner, doctor, surgery, whatever it is that you need, that intuition. So it's really just supporting your container to be so clear that you get those messages of what to do next is kind of my advice.
This is, I feel like this has to be kind of a controversial topic in traditional medicine right now, right? What's some of the feedback that you've gotten so far since the release of the documentary?
I mean, shockingly, there's been like zero pushback. I'm sure I don't read Amazon reviews, but because people tend to get a little cray-cray on there, but
online people get crazy on these online forums. No, I don't think so.
They create memes too around it.
Especially now, they're like locked up, pissed off.
And man, my favorite laughs come from 4chan. It's like
it's crazy.
I love going on there.
So shockingly, I mean, we get messages every day from people all over the world that say, "Oh my gosh, your documentary saved my life, changed my life. I've watched it 10 times. It's the positive feedback has been overwhelming, and the negative feedback is like not even on our radar. It's wild. I I didn't want to poke the pharmaceutical bear. So I do recognize in the film, like
that's too bad. You should yeah, you should have, I think we need more people going after big pharma.
Yeah. I was very kind of conscious going into this first documentary. Maybe I'll get a little more radical later.
Yeah. Lawsuits aren't always fun, I'm sure. Right. Yeah.
But there is truly a place for Western medicine, and there's specialized medicine has so many downfalls, but if
you're really sick,
if you are in
emergency cases,
emergency and acute like illness, you need surgeons, you need medicine, you need pills, you need specialists, etc. So, but not for the chronic illnesses, which is what we try to make. There's a huge distinction. So, the pushback has been, I'm not preaching. I believe it. This is my belief. I'm just offering it up to others. And if it resonates with you, it can, dive deeper and you can find your own conviction. So I'm happy with whatever people believe, but this has been proven time and time again in my own experience. And then just knowing some of the luminaries that are in the film and seeing how they're at a point in their life where they just want to serve, and their life is service. They live what they preach. So to me, that's proof enough.
Right. I always like to play, and he'll tell you this is the truth. I always love to play devil's advocate just to say like, oh, what if, So for, for those people who might counteract kind of the vision or the story that you were able to tell in the documentary, let's say people who, maybe there's doctors out there that say, the power of the mind is bullshit. Meditation doesn't help, if you have cancer, right? Because there's a couple stories in the documentary about people, really having some serious issues with cancer tumors and stuff like that. And then, being able to kind of push through that. What would you say to the naysayers who are like, well, that doesn't really work. If you have a lot of tumors riddled all over your body, like you need chemotherapy in order to, get better and hopefully put the cancer into remission. Sure.
Especially with the example of cancer, Dr. Kelly Turner, who's a researcher, PhD, anyone who has cancer, I encourage you to, or knows a loved one with cancer, dive into Kelly Turner's work. She did her dissertation and a doctorate on researching 1,500 cases of people who were told by Western oncologists that there was nothing else they could do for them. They were in late stage cancer, all sent home terminal, get your affairs in order, and you got a few weeks to a month to go. And 1,500 people she found were sent home to die, and they all healed. So that to me is compelling. She was like, why is nobody studying what they're doing? And she discovered that they were doing these 9 things. In the film, it's called the 9 key factors for healing. You could look it up, Kelly Turner's 9 key factors. She has recently added a 10th, which you guys will resonate with because it's movement or exercise. She didn't.
So important.
Big time.
Yeah. In her research, she said, I didn't include in the original 9 because it was there, but it wasn't like one of the, and now she went back through her research and she's like, oh yeah, everybody did some form of movement. So
yeah, they should have called us. We could have maybe had a little forward in there.
Exactly. So, all of that to say, of those 10 factors, 3 of them are physical, 7 of them are mental, emotional, and spiritual. So for cancer specifically, that's what her research was for. That to me shows the ratio of how you need to approach your healing. That is a holistic approach. Holistic doesn't mean woo-woo and you're going to go see a witch doctor. Holistic means you are recognizing that the body is not just meat suit, it's energy, it's chemistry, it's biology, and everything is connected. You can't, bombard your system with poison. It may get rid of the tumors, but it's going to cause a whole slew of side effects. And also the fact that one of the major side effects of chemo is it causes cancer should make people pause and think. That being said, I know so many people that choose to do Western medicine. I can say where I would in a late stage cancer diagnosis or not. I may choose to do some version of that because they have very targeted chemos now where they can literally just get it right into the tumor. So depending on what's available, I would just recommend that if you choose Western medicine, chemo, radiation, surgery, et cetera, please acknowledge that there's another 70% you have to address that got you to that environment that created the cancer in the first place. And that's the mental, emotional, and the spiritual. So I'm just going to, I don't know if I can name all 10, but the 3 physical ones are movement, using herbs and supplements, and radically changing your diet. The other 7 are things like connecting to your intuition, listening to your intuition. So if you go to a doctor and you feel like you're not being heard and you feel like he's rushing you through and you don't have time to ask the questions that you totally deserve to ask, maybe that's not your doctor. That's that's when you're contracting. That's not your guy, or your gal. Increasing positive emotions and releasing negative emotions. Is there another 2? Increasing social support. Science has shown that social support really doubles the length of survival, and really speeds healing. So again, we're social beings. We thrive in community. That's why this whole isolation thing is a little counterintuitive. What are some other ones? Finding strong reasons for living. So these people went home and they want to live not for themselves, but for their grandkids or for their, to see their their daughter get married or something.
They find that in blue zones too, right? Like the people who end up living the longest, like one of the reasons they're able to live the longest is because they continually have that purpose in life and purpose within the community, correct?
Yep.
Exactly. So, people would be like, okay, I'm going to die. So every morning I want to watch the sunset and just be so grateful for the beauty that I've experienced. So they came back to these things where, they played the violin because it brings them joy. They just wanted to do things that brought them joy. So joy is another, that's the increasing positive emotion. So all of that to say, I just encourage people to remember that not only for cancer, I truly believe that, and again, I haven't done the double-blind studies, but that can apply to any chronic illness. 30% is physical. The other 70% are mental, emotional, and spiritual. So something to think about.
Gotcha. No, and I think it's really amazing just sharing that information and understanding, most importantly too, the different percentages of, 70% on one side, 30% on the other, and how they come together and really create, harmony in one's life, and how it can really just get you out of a bad position. And I think it goes to say, in anything that you're going through, whether it's, an illness, a depression, a bad time with your business, your friends, your relationships, just retuning yourself and realigning yourself with who you are, and going back to these key components of, being within yourself with your mind, your body, your spirit, your health, all in one. It's just going to bring you forward into life in a whole different way, in a whole different matter. And you're just going to make everything around you much better. Your friends, your family, your relationships, anything that you do is just going to flourish around you because the energy really pours out into the world. With that being said, with everything that you're doing and with everything you have done, what is the next big step for you, and what is it that you are now discovering that you would love to put out in the world, with on top of what you're doing to really drive impact?
Thank you. Well, it's a great question. I felt like going into COVID, I had set this intention because I just released the Heal book. So basically I did the film, released the film, which takes a lot of energy. A few months after it released, the publisher was like, you got to do a book. So I spent the next few months doing the book. Then I got pregnant and super nauseous.
Congrats.
Congrats,
for 3 months.
by the way.
Congrats.
Thank you.
It's one healthy baby.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, so sweet. Yeah, exactly. Made me very conscious in the pregnancy.
First one?
Good stuff. Yeah, first one. Yeah.
Boy or girl?
A girl.
Super
She's 18 months old now, and her name is
She's like Stella.
Yeah, my little one, Stella, she's going to turn 2 on January 27th.
Yeah.
So,
oh, Stella. I love that.
She's still breastfeeding.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, good for your wife. I definitely did not last that long.
No, we're already talking. She's like, she goes to me, she's like, babe, we're gonna have to start figuring a way how to wing her off, because she's like, yeah, like I'm just not happening anymore. And I'm like, no, babe, yeah, no, I agree.
By the way, breastfeeding is people always talk about how difficult birth and labor is. breastfeeding is a thing. It is like, you guys, well, there's actually like a funny experiment.
Thank God I'll never know.
I always bug my daughter, like when I have her, I'm like, Stella, do you want? She's like,
Yeah, I'm calling CPS on you, bro.
I mess around and Jenny's looking and she's like, I was like, it's funny.
Oh man, she get that straggling like hair floss between her teeth.
I'm always bugging her.
hairy nipples.
Yeah. So
she's like, no, thank you, mama.
Yeah.
So anyways, I released, after, getting pregnant, I released the book. And then I was like, okay, I just need 6 months to like refill the tank. And just because I'd been outputting so much creation, including a human. And then COVID hit, which was like, oh God, I didn't want to manifest slowing down in this manner.
Yeah.
But,
Forcibly.
Yeah, they forced me to slow down. And it's been great. So now I finally have kind of that creative fire again. And funny enough, in podcasts, it's like everybody and their mother and uncle and second cousin has a podcast now, but Heal's audience, I just feel kind of like morally also inspired. I mean, there's endless experts to interview and endless inspiring healing stories to share, which will empower others to believe that they can do it as well. So a podcast is just the easiest next step to do that and continue that heal conversation.
And what's the name?
It's going to be the Heal Podcast.
There we go.
Okay.
You guys heard
There
it.
you
You
go.
better tune into the Heal Podcast.
Yes.
There you go. Now you got to start one. It honestly is one of the best ways to even, one of the things that we really love about it is just even being able to connect with people like you, know, and just a general, quality of conversation that you're having with people on a regular basis that you may not be getting, in your day-to-day life is, especially now, with everything going on, is so important. I know.
And in a way, for me, I guess I'd say it's a form of relaxation meditation for me too, because I get to do something I love, talk to amazing people, ingest good energy, and have great conversations.
Yeah, so. I feel like this is a joke when I tell people, when people are like, what do you do? I'm like, well, one of the businesses I have is like I own a podcast. Like what? Like, I'm like, I don't really think of it as like a business. I mean, I just talk into a microphone all the time. It's like.
And you guys get to hang out with each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could take it or leave it on that one, but.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Any given day. So we'll see, I'm passionate about the environment. So maybe there could be, now I'm like all about conscious parenting and so much to share there. So that can all come through the podcast as well. So we'll see. That's kind of the immediate future.
Any more documentaries rolling through your head at all? You got any other interest in that?
I mean,
did you enjoy working with Netflix?
Yeah. So, basically we released the film and then actually a month after we released, Netflix sent out this like industry-wide memo saying, don't submit your independent films because we're putting all of our money into creating our own content, which they've done in the last 2 years. Right. And I said, sorry, but I told my distributor, I was like, nope, we're going to be at Netflix. I kept meditating. It was like, I just saw Netflix. So I kept telling him, well, just ignore the memo and they're going to need some content in the meantime. And I think Heal was the #1 documentary on iTunes for 6 weeks at that time. So I was like, there's something here. And so like a month later, Netflix said, okay, we want to take you, but we can't release you until February of 2018. So it was a year later, I think. Okay, so February 2019. Yeah. So I think we released February of last year, and now 18. Anyway, it's been on Netflix for 2 years. It's been great because, it's just got a global audience and it was trending. It's been trending throughout the whole, COVID crisis because it's a great resource for people and it empowers people. But actually this February of 2021, we're switching over to Amazon Prime because 2 years was the run of show at Netflix. Cause again, they're switching to all their own content. But it was great. It was great while it lasted.
Awesome. Yeah. I've heard good things about what people say they've been working with Netflix, a lot more freedom and everything.
It's great. They don't give you any data. They own all the data. So I have no idea.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah.
So that's the only downside. But as far as like working with them, it's such a it elevated for sure the title, and gave it a much wider access for people. So that was so positive. Yeah.
Yeah. More eyes is never a bad thing at all.
Exactly.
Well, I know we're coming on close to an hour, and I know Anthony, as he always does, has a couple of rapid fire questions he's going to want you to answer. So before that, I wanted to take the opportunity first to say thank you for coming on. It's, been a tremendous opportunity to have you on here and discuss like the powerful ways in which the mind can really help you, transform your future for the better. How can people reach out to you, and what's the best way to contact you?
Sure. You can find out information about the film and the book and podcasts, et cetera, on healdocumentary.com. We also were pretty, active on Instagram. So at Heal Documentary. And then me personally is just at Kelly Gores. So that's where we are.
Great.
And we're on Facebook too, but I'm not very active on Facebook.
No, we both want to say thank you again, and we really appreciate you taking your time and, sharing what you're doing and what you've been doing and the process that you've gone through it and how it's really affected your personal life and, the lives of other human beings and especially during a time like this. I think it's amazing. So with that being said, time for the lightning rounds. Question number 1. If you had to pick one of your favorite tools that you use on a daily basis, what would it be?
Gratitude.
Boom. Love it. Yeah. All right. Number 2. What was your favorite part from your documentary?
Eva Lee, who is one of the women that we followed on her healing journey. She did a emotional freedom technique session on camera with a practitioner, with a healer. And she had just such a beautiful breakthrough. And I feel like it was just like this cinematic, just precious moment of vulnerability that she shared with us. And it was kind of the first time she even explored her past and trauma. And it was just like so noble of her to share. And it still makes me cry every time I see it.
Well, guys, when you get to that part of the documentary, that's what she's talking about.
Bring the Kleenex.
Bring the Kleenex. Oh, man. All right. Next question. What is the wildest and craziest experience you've ever had in your career?
Oh boy. I'm going to give 2. Doing ayahuasca.
Yes. Yes. Next on my list.
Dude, it's a freaking...
Smoked DMT a couple times, but never drank ayahuasca.
Wow. That's a whole thing too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It was quite the time, I'd have to say.
Woo. Yeah. So that's real. Definitely do it in a safe environment and get some kind of tools ahead of time from your shaman.
I found a retreat in Costa Rica I want to go to, actually.
What's it called?
Oh God, let me look at it.
Rhythmia?
There's another one. This is gonna, I don't know. I'll find it. I'll DM you. I'll let you know. I can't remember.
Okay, cool. And the other one was, skydiving over the Alps in Switzerland when I was like 20 years old.
That is cool. Yeah.
That was crazy.
My significant other, Jenny, she's gone like skydiving like 8 times. She absolutely loves it. She's like, babe, you got to do it with me. I've never done it. So I'm just like, all right, let's do it.
I almost went to Puerto Rico. I didn't pull the trigger on it though.
No?
Nah.
Scared?
It's crazy.
No, not scared. I mean, I went ziplining. I thought that would relatively be the same thing, but maybe not.
So that was cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Next question. Moving forward with everything that's going on with COVID now and the way that the world is shifting, once we start getting out of this time frame, what would you like to see moving forward in the world?
Oh, wow. I'd like to see a lot more accountability I'd like to see a whole overhaul of our political system, of our education system, of our, I want to just put a lot more scrutiny on lobbying and term limits for politicians and restrictions on big chemical and pharma, just a lot more accountability and transparency in all of our big industries that have been allowed to kind of hide the harm that they're doing to the American people. And like Dr. Zach Bush talks about, he's got a documentary called The Farmer's Footprint. It's like 22 minutes long. He talks about the microbiome of the soil and regenerative farming. And just that alone and raising awareness about that can literally reverse climate change and save our planet. And also healthify our food that we're getting, because it's healing the soil of the planet and healing the planet. So all of that is connected. So those are some small things that I would like to see.
You guys heard it from Kelly. Last question. What's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one sentence?
It's going to be a run-on. It's going to be a run-on.
I love it.
Biggest piece of advice. Oh, man. I would say, I love that thing, be kind. The saying, be kind, because everybody's fighting a battle that you know nothing about. So that is absolutely true outward. But in order to be kind outward to others, we need to start with ourselves. So be kind and pay attention to and heal the battle and the wounds that we've been fighting within ourselves. If we listen to our critical voice every day and how we speak to ourselves, I would say 99.9% of the population needs to start there and be kind to yourself.
Yeah, amazing. I think that's a great way to wrap it up.
100%.
Yeah,
well,
Kelly, one more time,
really
thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank
Make sure
you,
you guys all go check out her documentary Heal on Netflix, about to soon be on Amazon Prime.
That's right, and her future podcast.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward to that one. You'll have to let us know when it releases. We'll throw it up on our stories and everything. All right,
Thank you so much, guys.
until next time, everyone.
Much love.